What is going on, everybody? Welcome back into the channel. My name is Rock Soldier, and today we're gonna be checking out the last song on Scaled and Icy, Redecorate. I got my 21 Pilots hat on. I'm super excited to check this one out, man. We're just gonna hop right into it. Let's get it. It was a wonderful structure to the city. I put my cares to rest. Okay. I like this beat. Chill with some nice bass to it. I like it.
Taking inventory of his life, seeing snapshots chronologically in line. Something told him he should look around and tidy up. He collected many things but never quite enough. Tried looking at it from a new perspective. Flat on his back but he still heard the directive. Orders from that corner where that shadow always lived. Never asked permission, he just hopes that they forgive. I don't wanna go like this.
Wow, what a start to this song, right? So right off the bat in that verse, taking inventory of his life, seeing snapshots chronologically in line, kind of makes me think of like, he's taking account of everything he's done in his life. And, no doubt, in my opinion, so far, this song is definitely going to be related to the topic of suicide. And, kind of seeing snapshots chronologically in line kind of goes back and kind of, does a good job of tagging up with that line beforehand, taking inventory of his life. But it also makes me think of, that moment where people say, your life flashes before your eyes a little bit. And, he said, he collected many things, but never quite enough. Tried. And then it goes on to the next one. But the way they kind of do that is like he collected many things, but never quite enough. Tried. Kind of makes it, he's like, oh, he tried. To like do better, basically, almost have more like notches under his belt, maybe, so to speak. But it also goes into the next line where it goes, tried looking at it from a new perspective, flat on his back, but he still heard the directive. And I think it kind of just goes on to say, he took an inventory of his life, but and he tried looking at it from like a new light, from a new perspective. But at the end of the day, he still heard, that nagging, voice in the back of your head, telling him basically to, kill himself. I like this imagery too right here. I'm actually glad I went back to this. I like how this is formed in a cross, kind of represents like Tyler's faith, which he doesn't like outright usually speak about too much, but he is a faithful person. So I just like kind of like how it's there and kind of like has a nice representation to it.
Taking inventory of his life, seeing snapshots chronologically in line. Something told him he should look around and tidy up. He collected many things but never quite enough. Tried looking at it from a new perspective. Flat on his back but he still heard the directive. Orders from that corner where that shadow always lived. Never asked permission, he just hopes that they...
Where that shadow always cast lit. Okay, so I kind of like how this is like it's almost like somebody's like writing down the lyrics, right? He's like writing it down and goes back, says, then he stared at the bottle, but that's crossed out and he doesn't say that. So interesting.
Orders from that corner where that shadow always lived. Never asked permission, he just hopes that they'd forgive. I don't wanna go like this. At least let me clean my room. I don't wanna live like this. 'Cause the last thing I want to do is make my people make decisions, wondering what to do. Oh, should I keep it on display or redecorate?
Wow. Okay, so yeah, wow, this has definitely got some like old 21 Pilots to it, like I don't want to say like old, but like like blurry face kind of vibes. Kind of reminds me of like Hometown a little bit in terms of like the beat, but like this song is definitely very different than everything else we've heard of on Scaled and Icy. So he says, I don't want to go like this, at least let me clean my room. I don't want to leave like this because the last thing I want to do is make my people make decisions, wondering what to do. Should they keep it on display or redecorate? And I think that's just kind of like really putting it in perspective, right? Really looking at it through the eyes of someone who's really contemplating suicide. They get into this moment maybe where they just realize, like, do I want to be like a little bit more of a burden, right? Like when they think about afterwards, what's going to happen, like all their stuff. In the first line, And he said he looked around his room and something told him he should tidy up, kind of, you know, maybe making that like last minute gesture of, you know, I don't even, because I feel like a lot of people are contemplating suicide, you know, kind of feel like they're like a little bit of an annoyance of a burden on everybody. So maybe it's like kind of referencing like, you know, oh, let me do this last task, you know, because I don't want to burden these guys, you know, with you know, this messing room, you know, having to go through all my stuff, and, you know, maybe really thinking about what his family and his friends would have to go through, a little bit if he was to choose that route.
On display or redecorate. Blankets over mirrors, she tends to like it. She's not afraid of her reflection, but of what she might see behind it. She had plans to
Blankets over mirrors, she tends to like it. She's not afraid of her reflection, but of what she might see behind it. Basically, oh my gosh, dude, the metaphors, dude. Nah, I love how talented these guys are, man. Basically, you know, from what I'm getting from that line is that she's not afraid to like look at herself in the face, but she's afraid that she just might not like everything she's like done in her life, right? She's afraid of like all the background, right? Like, again, kind of referencing all those, everything she's like done in her life. And you know, I want to point out that in this verse it says she, and in the first verse it says him or he. So definitely talking about two different people here, but it still could make that reference to the first verse. Again, of just kind of, you know, tidying up the room and, you know, just kind of taking inventory of their life, essentially.
or redecorate. Blankets over mirrors, she tends to like it. She's not afraid of her reflection, but of what she might see behind it. She had plans to change her name, yeah, just not the traditional way. Yeah. Haunted by a couple big mistakes, she covers all the dents with the way she decorates. Then one night she got cold with no blankets on her bed, so she ripped them off the mirror, stepped back, and she said, I don't wanna go like this. At least let me.
My God, that just hits right in the chest, man. Dude, this song is so powerful. Oh my God, that's why I'm like stuttering and like, you know, stumbling over at like how to like explain my thoughts and, you know, what I'm getting from this to you guys. But just that last part, man, you know, haunted by a couple big mistakes, she covers all the dents with the way she decorates. First off, bars. All right, second off, second off, you know, it's basically saying she covers all the dents, right? And the dents could be like the representations of like anxiety, depression, you know, everything that she thinks is like wrong with herself, right? It's basically saying that she covers that with the way she presents herself. And obviously kind of also makes the reference to the bedroom once again, because, you know, kind of talks about, you know, decorating and, you know, the dents, you know, maybe in the walls or, you know, so on and so forth, something like that. But man, I just love how metaphorical these guys are. And I love how it goes right there and ends. And then one night she got cold with no blankets on her bed, so she ripped them off the mirror, stepped back, and she said, and it goes right back into the chorus. We were talking about how she kind of came across that thought process of just not wanting to leave this mess behind, for her friends and family, and you know, what would they do with my stuff afterwards? So it's almost like she kind of like ripped the blankets off the mirror, and she's kind of like truly contemplating, like almost having like a self-reflection moment, like a moment of true self-reflection. And wow.
She got cold with no blankets on her bed, so she ripped them off the mirror, stepped back, and she said, I don't wanna go like this. At least let me clean my room. I don't wanna live like this. 'Cause the last thing I want to do is make my people make decisions, wondering what to do. Oh, should I keep it on display or redecorate?
I feel like that could, like that last line could also kind of change like what I've been interpreting a little bit of the chorus. But, you know, should they keep it on display or redecorate? Maybe I've heard of like situations in the stories where, like, you know, where someone, you know, say someone's child dies and they like leave the room completely as it was, kind of just so like they have that place of comfort, or that place of thought, and or that place of isolation to just really go be by yourself and really just maybe contemplate and really just kind of feel connected to that person that they lost, you know. And it could also be kind of contemplating, like, would they change my room? Would they keep it the same? You know, if I was to die today, would they keep my room the same, or would they just turn it into something else and get rid of all my stuff? I feel like that's a tough question to really think about, right?
Decisions, wondering what to do. Oh, should I keep it on display or redecorate? With the bells and the whistles scaled back like an isolated
Oh, they said
track,
it.
and he feels trapped when he's not inebriated. Fair to say he's fairly sedated. Most days of the week he might have made it if he lived on a different street. I repeat, scaled back.
Oh my gosh. Okay, they gotta stop, man. They gotta stop. Wow, with the bells and the whistles scaled back like an isolated. First off, I want to say, you know, kind of shout out to some of the other videos where we talked about how like scaled and icy is kind of like an abbreviation for scaled back and isolated. It's kind of like, and you know, they said it there kind of a little bit too. But also if you take the line for what it is, with the bells and whistles scaled back like an isolated track, kind of saying like, if with all the noise, all the bells and the whistles, with all the noise scaled back, he feels trapped when he's not inebriated. Fair to say he's fairly sedated most days of the week. He might have made it if he lived on a different street. And I feel like, you know, that kind of just really represents like how someone feels trapped when all the noise is gone, right? Like when they're by themselves and there's nothing going on. And, you know, if they're not inebriated in some way, which I feel like the last line a little bit of this, if you might have made it if you lived on a different street, could have been referencing like Mulberry Street a little bit, kind of talking about that bliss, and so on and so forth. So I feel like there could be a little bit of a Mulberry Street connection there. But kind of saying, you know, if, you know, when we don't have that distraction, you know, the thoughts are probably the most dangerous at that point.
Track, and he feels trapped when he's not inebriated. Fair to say he's fairly sedated. Most days of the week he might have made it if he lived on a different street. I repeat, scaled back and isolated. He says he likes an open schedule, but he mostly hates it.
Yes,
If you run into his
that's
room,
what I'm
take
talking
a breath
about.
before you break and put your ear up to the door. Tell me, can you hear him saying, I don't wanna go like this?
He says he likes an open schedule, but he mostly hates it. I fuck with that line hard, man, because like I may not take it to the exact point where Tyler's taking the meaning of this line, but you know, just kind of again reinforces that idea that when, you know, we kind of like the idea of having our free time, but for these people that are contemplating suicide and going through depression and severe anxiety, that like these are the worst times, right? Because when you're not busy, when you're not distracted, that's when you really have those moments and your thoughts are just going and they start going and they start going and they become negative and it just becomes this whole thing. Wow.
Open schedule, but he mostly hates it. If you run into his room, take a breath before you break and put your ear up to the door. Tell me, can you hear him saying, I don't wanna go like this. At least let me clean my room. I don't wanna live like this. 'Cause the last thing I want to do is make my people make decisions, wondering what to do. Oh, should I keep it on display or redecorate? I don't wanna go like this. At least let me clean my
I love this song, man.
I don't wanna live like
Wow.
this. 'Cause the last thing I want to do is make my people make decisions, wondering what to do. Oh, should they keep it on display or redecorate?
I like how it closes, just how it started. I think this song is a beautiful closer for this album, man.
Or redecorate. Or redecorate.
All right, so that was Redecorate, and that brings a close to our Scaled and Icy experience. But first, man, I just want to say how much I truly enjoyed this song, man. This, honestly, without a doubt, is probably my favorite one off the album. It's just so much reminiscent of like Blurry Face and whatnot, and I'm a huge fan of the album, Blurry Face, and ultimately, I think this song was just the perfect perfect closure to the album, right? Because like everything else in this album has been kind of like happy, kind of upbeat, kind of kind of like propaganda, when it's kind of like what we talked about in some of the other songs, like The Outside and No Chances. And you kind of see that theme throughout this, but this song is completely different. I think it could potentially be some kind of like, I don't know if I'd say like prequel, but some kind of like lead in to their next album. Yeah, because I mean, like as a whole, it's almost like from start to finish, up until this song, when you listen to Skeleton Icy from start to finish, it almost feels like a commercial, right? Like just like that propaganda, that commercial. I mean, it truly feels like it. And then you get to Redecorate, which is completely different, man. And once again, man, I loved what the song was talking about. They're so metaphorical and so lyrical. It still blows my mind to this day, man. Probably my favorite one off the album, man. So with that being the end of our Skeleton Icy experience, man, let me know what you guys thought of the song, and let me know which one is your favorite off the album. I truly appreciate you guys taking the time to check out this video, and if you enjoyed, please make sure to leave a like, hit that sub button, hit that bell, know we're dropping the next one. That's all I got for you guys for now. It's your boy Rock Soldier. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night, and even better tomorrow. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Alright, guys? Peace.